Buckle up.
Because it's going to be a long ride.
It's going to be a wild ride.
No one cares, but we're going to tell you anyways.
This is Popcorn Chat.
Alrighty. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the first episode of Popcorn Chats in the new year. I'm MICHAE.
And I'm Katie.
I don't know. That was so delayed. I don't know if that was technology or if that was your brain buffering. It was like
probably a combination of both.
Our first episode of the new year is going to be kind of a bit of a chiller one. We're just going to be kind of recapping 2020. 2020 was a weird year for the movie and television industry, so we're going to kind of talk about that. We had some leftover questions from our anniversary episode that we didn't get to, so we're going to answer some of those. I think it's going to be kind of a chill episode today.
It's hard going from posting on Wednesday to now posting on Monday, so this is like a nice short episode to make that transition. We are going to be going back to our normal schedule, uploading every Monday. The only time that might get a little strange is when Euphoria comes out at the end of the month.
Katie, how have you been?
Honestly bad. I know that during our anniversary episode, we were like, we aren't always super positive, but like things are gonna get better. They're not. Like,
this is your message of hope, ladies and gentlemen. Things are not gonna get better.
Let me tell you, okay? So you know how everybody's like, manifest on the 21st. Like, it's a big spiritual day. So I did that. I did a lot of like manifesting inner work. And then yesterday I was doing like journaling and stuff for the new year and just really trying to like bring positive vibes. And so far I've just been getting shit on. I cannot find a job to save my life. We know this, but like I thought I could at least get a part-time job, but I have still been getting rejected from every fucking job that I applied to, and I am ready to quit. Like, I'm being funny right now, but I'm dead ass like at the end of my rope. I'm so done. I'm so over it. I have a fucking degree and I can't even work at H&M. Like, are you kidding me? And maybe I sound like entitled and privileged right now, but I don't know. I'm just like really beaten down and broken. I thought, like, I don't know what I thought, but I thought I could at least get a part-time job. Like, I've been able to do it in the past, and now it's like impossible. After getting so many rejections from full-time jobs, to get yet another multiple rejections from these part-time jobs that I'm applying to, I don't know how much more I can take, to be completely honest with all of you. And I know there are people out there dealing with way worse situations, and I'm so lucky to have a support system and stuff. And I got my stimulus check today. Thank God. Like, that's literally how I'm going to be able to pay rent and bills. I don't know. I'm not trying to like bring people down, but I guess, again, I always try to like share stuff on this podcast so those who are listening can feel maybe better about their lives. or just like not feel so alone, you know, because I know that there are other people struggling, and if you're going through it, girl, so the fuck am I.
That's so crazy that even like the part-time jobs that you've been applying to, you can't even get. Like, that makes no sense. Senior year of college was like one of the worst times of my entire life because of job hunting, and we can chat.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's fine. How are you?
I'm like neutral. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not like one way or the other. Yeah, it's better than bad. Still could be better. I don't necessarily feel like super optimistic about 2021, especially seeing a bunch of dumb bitches out partying on New Year's Eve. I'm like, what the fuck are any of you people doing? Get back inside. I just don't understand it. It makes me so frustrated seeing people just like out and about and doing stuff and partying and hanging out with people. And I'm just like, you are so insensitive. You are so stupid. Like, after this, I'm genuinely looking at people differently. I know Katie and I have talked about this earlier on in the pandemic, but I'm like, at this point, you have no excuse.
Yeah.
You have no excuse to be like, oh, well, it's been going on for so long. It's like, fuck that. Like, yeah, everyone else is tired about it too.
Yeah.
You know what? Nurses and doctors and frontline workers are sick of it, and they still have to show up to work every day to cover for your dumbass.
Yeah.
I was irritated last night and today, seeing a lot of posts about people out. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to be like optimistic. I'm hoping, I mean, like I set this goal last year and then COVID hit and I just was not motivated, but I'm really, really, really going to try to have like a first and like really well done draft of a book done this year.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get like too stuck on goal setting, especially after seeing Soul. Soul just
Yeah.
like really did something for me that I'm just like, maybe that's not even what's lacking in my life is like
Yeah.
success. I don't know. So I don't want to get like so stuck on that, but that is like a goal of mine. And like I said, a new reading goal, which now is exciting for
Yeah.
me to get to like restart.
Oh, that's
So again,
good.
I'm just trying to find the small things to be optimistic or like positive about.
I think a balance of like
Alrighty.
big goals and small goals is good. Yeah, I want to have a
So-
first draft of my movie done.
You were pretty close, weren't you?
I was close and then I quit. Well, I didn't quit, but I like started completely over because I hated it. Now I'm very restless. It's all in my head and I just want it all down perfect and that's not going to happen. But anyways, I'm just very anxious to like have it completed and start showing it to people and start getting like feedback and stuff on it. But yeah, I'm excited about it and I feel good about it. And whenever I write, I always feel happier and like in a better mood. And that's honestly the thing that like, gravitate towards now because it's just the thing that I feel like has always advanced me in life. Like it got me into a good school for writing and it's just writing has always been my thing that has taken me places. Maybe the universe is just telling me to write and get it done and I hope that this like writing is going to be the thing that like gets me out of this just funk that I'm in and this like really really fucking hard time. Like no one tells you how shitty it is when you graduate college.
That's what I have been saying since I graduated the other year. Like everyone talks about the transition of high school to college. No one fucking talks about the transition from college to like the real world. It's horrible.
I mean, everybody has different experiences and like there are people who get a good job right out of college or they go to grad school or whatever, but I think it's still hard and everybody like has a bit of a hard time in one way or another. I think a lot of people think you're letting go of youth when you go to college or when you graduate high school, but I think you still are young and like don't have as much responsibility when you're in college and you get to party and do all this stuff. It's like fake adulthood. It's like all the fun parts of adulthood are in college and then it's like real adulthood after college and all I want to do is go back to when things were good or skip to the part when things are going to be good. Because right now sucks, but I'm more like reminiscent on the past because the future is so uncertain and I don't even know if things are ever going to be. This is getting really deep. This is not what this episode was supposed to be.
We're killing the mood,
but yeah, I don't know. I
think
think it's just like New Year and everybody's so hopeful, but I'm just like, I'm trying to be hopeful, but I'm struggling.
that should be our merch t-shirt too. If you're struggling, us too. Anyways, 2020 releases, ladies and gentlemen. So 2020 saw a lot in the world, but then also obviously in the film and television industry because when COVID hit in March and like theaters shut down, and at least where Katie and I are from, our theater was shut down for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's back open now, but like it's really limited capacity. And obviously there's not really a lot being released in theaters right now because crowds are just not really turning out, which good, but also bad. The video stores obviously aren't getting new content, so our family video here is still chugging along. But
she's hanging out for dear life.
I hope it never dies. I don't know if, I think I've talked about this before, that I've worked at video store for like 5 years. And it's just a vibe. That is a job that I will always love.
Yeah.
So some really big titles got pushed back because of COVID. So this year we were supposed to have Fast and Furious 9, Black Widow, The Woman in the Window, the new James Bond movie, Top Gun Maverick, Candyman, A Quiet Place 2, Jungle Cruise, Dune, West Side Story. Like a lot of really big releases
Yeah.
have just been completely shelved until 2021. But now looking into 2021, I think they might be starting to sweat a bit because obviously the early months of the year are pretty big release times and then like summer. So maybe like they'll still be able to keep the summer blockbusters, but otherwise maybe like next holiday season, the theaters are going to be booming with content. So a lot of projects obviously got pushed back. There were other ones who found like some more creative ways to still come out. Like Disney released Mulan on Disney Plus, but they just charged at the start of it, so that way they could still make additional money off of it, because that was guaranteed millions of dollars for them to put that in the theater. So they put that on there. Wonder Woman 1984 and like Warner Brothers like Whole Lot now being released on HBO Max. A lot just did home movie releases or available for rent on Amazon. So it really changed the way that a lot of these big movies were able to be consumed or just ultimately pushed them back. I don't know. I'll be interested to see how that changes things going forward.
Yeah, me too. I just like think sometimes what would have happened if this pandemic happened in like the 80s or something. How would people still work? You know, I think so many more people would be out of work because we didn't have the internet the way we have it now, and like Zoom wouldn't have been a thing. And same with just the movie industry, like it would have been way different. So we will have to see how things change. I think so many things are going to change going forward because of the pandemic, and I think the film and movie industry is definitely going to be one of those things. And unfortunately, theater going experience was already like phasing out or suffering because of streaming, and now I think it's just going to be even more. Possibly, who knows, when this is all done and over with, people might be really itching to, I know you and I are definitely going to be wanting to like go back to the theaters. I think there's going to be like this period of time where everybody just wants to do everything. Who knows when we like settle into normal again, what things will look like. So
I think streaming before this year had a really bad rap for like network television and blockbuster movies because like it was seen as being like a deterrent for people to leave their homes when they can see everything. But honestly, like streaming kept some of these things afloat, because otherwise Wonder Woman would have never been able to come out without HBO Max. Disney Plus would have never been or Disney would have never been able to release any of their movies this year that they were able to put onto their streaming service. Netflix, I think, even pulled a few on there. I still see the argument for it like taking away from like theater crowds and such, but honestly this year it did help out a bit, I think, for things that were being released.
Yeah.
Should we jump into favorite TV show and favorite movies this year?
Yeah. I have a shorter TV list.
Okay. My first one, which I think I only liked it because of the hype and like because it was right at the beginning of quarantine, so I was just looking for content, and that's Outer Banks on Netflix. And I will only watch a second season for JJ and Poe. And apparently one of the characters is rumored to have died. Like one of the 5 main characters dies at the beginning of the next season. And if it's JJ or Poe, I'm not watching the show because it's just, I don't care about it that much.
Yeah, I remember everybody was super into that.
It's not great looking back, but I thoroughly enjoyed it at the time.
Yeah. I think it actually came out at the end of 2019, but I watched it at the beginning of 2020 when things were not horrible, which is Cheer, the documentary TV series on Netflix. I loved that so much. I want a season 2 of that show. I just remember a simpler time when I enjoyed watching that show after class. A different fucking world, honestly.
That was such a moment when that came out. That was huge. I remember when that did.
I think the idea of like behind that show is really good. I guess it's kind of the same idea as like Dance Moms somewhat. Like you get an in-depth look at the individuals and then like the team as a collective, and you're rooting for the team, and then you learn about, it's just I enjoyed that. And I'm not a cheerleader. I used to be, and I hated it.
I always forget that you did cheerleading.
Not just cheerleading, competitive cheer. I used to do what they did, and it was, stress-inducing. I could not do it.
I completely forgot about that. One of my other ones that, like Katie said, it was like a different time. When I remember watching this, it feels like a separate year of 2020. But Spinning Out on Netflix, it came out like right at the beginning of the year. R.I.P. to that show. It's not getting a second season, and I'm sad about it. But again, like I just remember a simpler time of watching that, like coming home from work and turning that on and like watching an episode, having dinner, and then like just watching that the rest of the night. And I really liked it. It was a show that I wouldn't have thought would have been my particular cup of tea, but I loved it. I'm very sad that it's not getting a second season. And I like Kaya, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, Kaya something, and then Prim from the Hunger Games was in it.
Oh, what is this show about?
So it's Kaya Scordiardi, whatever her last name is. She's a competitive figure skater, and so is Willow Shields, which Prim from the Hunger Games. They're sisters, and their mom is she an alcoholic? But she also maybe has bipolar. And Kaya's character also has bipolar, I think, or like some mental disorder. So it affects like their relationship, and they have like a very strained, toxic relationship. And Kaya's trying to get back into, I don't remember her real name, or her character's name, so I'm just using her real name. And she's trying to get back into ice skating, but she needs to get into pairs. So then she's paired up with this one guy. It's like kind of enemies to lovers, but it's also like kind of a dark show a bit too.
Interesting.
I don't know. I think you might actually like it, Katie. You should maybe give it a try if you're looking for something. I know I hate when people are like, you need to watch this show, so if you don't want to, don't. But
I'll look into it. I know we were talking about maybe covering Bridgerton on the pod, so I think I need to watch that. My next one is Hollywood, which Michaela and I covered on the pod. What's this man's name? Ryan. Wait. Why can I not think of his name? Whatever.
Just a mess.
I really am. I guess I thought I was way more prepared for this episode, and I'm just not. But anyways, Ryan Murphy. See, we got there.
There you go.
Okay, first of all, tangent, but I tried watching his new show Ratched, and that was just god-awful in my opinion. I did like Hollywood. I liked seeing Darren Criss. It was a good time. You can go back and listen to our thoughts on it. I think we did an episode on it over the summer, but I watched it with my mom, and it was fun. I mean, nothing like super memorable. If there's a season 2, I'm not going to be like, hell yeah, you know.
I was thinking about that because I'm like, should I put it on my list? And I was like,
yeah.
Next, I have A Teacher. Katie, have you watched this?
Girl, no freaking spoilers because I am in the middle of it right now.
Okay.
I'm so into it. I just watched it because I was like, I forgot to tell you that I've been watching that because I've been like, ooh, they suggested it to me. It's good. I'm very into it.
Katie, maybe we should do an episode on that too.
Maybe we should.
Again, we'll discuss.
Okay.
A Teacher. It is so fucking good. Nick Robinson just does things for me. I love him.
Cute.
He is. And he plays his character so well. I'm not the biggest fan of Kate Mara, and I'm not the biggest fan of her in this role, but like Nick Robinson and the story in general and like the composition, I just really like the look of the show. I love the storyline of the show, and I think it's the show that I'm like the most invested in every single week, like waiting for it to come out. So I'm glad that you're watching it. I won't say anymore because I don't want to spoil anything.
I'm catching up. I'm trying to get caught up. I don't remember what episode I'm on.
I'm a big fan of the student teacher trope in like books. I love that, but this is like a very different take on it because it's often like very romanticized and the show is not.
Yeah.
Well, maybe watch out for a future episode on that, people.
Yeah. Okay. My next one is Schitt's Creek, which I know isn't like a new show in 2020, but it finished in this year. I think for a lot of people it's been a light in the darkness, and it's definitely like a cultural phenomenon at the moment. I don't know anybody who's like watched it that hasn't liked it, so I don't think I need to explain to you guys why it's good. It's just it's a great show.
The last two I'm just gonna kind of lump together because I'm in the middle of watching both of them, and that is Bridgerton and Outlander. So both like historical romancy shows. Outlander obviously is not new this year, but there is like still current seasons coming out, so I decided to include it on this list and kind of cheat a bit. It's new to me. I'm still in the first season, but I'm really liking it. It's good. And Sir James, or is his name Sir? Now I'm getting them confused. Jamie Fraser. Love him. And then Bridgerton, I'm on like the 3rd episode of that show, and I'm really liking that too. I more just saw so many people talking about it that I was like, I need to check this out. And obviously because it's based off of like a book series, and I'm seeing it all over like Book Talk and BookTube, so I am liking it. And then my parents were like, well, maybe we'll watch that, and I'm like, I'm not watching it with you.
My mom was asking me about it yesterday, and I'd never heard of it, and then you texted me about it yesterday, and I was like, okay, maybe I gotta watch it. You and my mom are like my constant people that like sway me watching a show or not. Like if both of you say I should watch it, then I'm like, all right, I'm watching it.
Yes, Kelly.
My last one is The Queen's Gambit. Like simple show, but really entertaining and good. It's not like the best thing I've ever seen, but it is gorgeous and so well done, and a super awesome character. Yeah, it was a good time. A mini series, so it's not gonna have like a second season or anything, which I think is good. I just like it as a body of work that it is. It's well done, and I don't think it needs any more, and I don't think it needs any less.
Alrighty, movies?
Yeah, movies. I might just kind of list some and like stop and talk about a couple.
Okay, then you can go first.
Okay, well, a couple documentaries I'm just going to list. The Social Dilemma freaked me out, but also was insightful and like true to the time that we were going through with like the Black Lives Matter movement and everything. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Disclosure, another really good and eye-opening documentary about the trans community and how they're represented in media. Miss Americana, Taylor Swift's documentary, obviously amazing. Ariana's documentary, I haven't finished it yet. I have a lot of things that I need to watch, so don't come for me.
You like documentaries a lot.
I do. I really like well done documentaries. Another one that's kind of not a documentary, but not necessarily a movie that I really liked is Black is King, Beyonce's visual album. Do you want to say some?
Sure. You know what? Let me get this one out of the way here.
Oh, I already know.
Click off.
I already know.
After We Collided, everyone. Is that what you thought it was going to be?
Yes.
Okay, y'all. I know I hate me too. But honestly, the excitement to watch this dumpster fire when it first came out was the light that I needed to get through the day. So judge me all you want, but it got me through. Is it bad? Yes. Is it stupid? Yes. But did I enjoy the hell out of it? Also, yes.
Yeah.
So you know what? I am never going to try to defend this movie and say that it's good. Am I going to tell people, like, you really need to watch this movie? You don't need to watch this movie. But me personally, the joy that it brought into my life when it came out.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the viewing experience of it.
I'll leave that one there. I promise my other 4 are really good ones, but this one was... It's trash, but it's enjoyment.
I liked Palm Springs. With Allison Brie and Adam something. Is it Adam?
Oh, Andy Samberg.
Andy Samberg. I mean, it wasn't...
Allison Brie is not in this movie.
Oh, who is it?
Kristen Milotti.
Oh, fuck. I could have sworn it was Allison Brie. Why do I always lump that bitch into the wrong shit?
Because she just looks like any other brunette
fucking
person.
God damn it, Allison Brie. You're right, though. She was in that.
She was in Happiest Season.
Yeah. Palm Springs wasn't anything spectacular, but it was fun to watch.
I was going to say, since you can't remember who anyone was in it, was it really that good?
Oh my god, somebody help.
All right. Oh shoot, I actually realized that I had 5. I'll just throw this one out. Happiest Season was on my list.
Same.
We have a whole episode on that. You don't I don't really need to go into more. Another one that we have a whole episode on is Unpregnant. Again, that was just at a time when I really wanted a new movie and to be like really excited about a new movie.
Yeah.
And Unpregnant is one that came out that I genuinely loved from like front to back. And you can hear more of our thoughts on that in our episode, but I really liked it. And I liked Haley Lou Richardson and I really liked Barbie Fiera. So
Yeah. I had both of those on my list too. And they were just like fun new movies to look forward to coming out.
We just did an episode last week about it, Wonder Woman 1984. I was very excited to see this. And after I've sat on it and like digested the movie a lot more, I have a lot higher of opinion of it than I necessarily did after first viewing. And I'm excited to watch it again now that I know everything that happens in it and see what new things I pick up and get a new appreciation for it.
I really liked, and you guys can go way back to our coming of age episode to hear me talk about this movie, but The King of Staten Island came out this past summer and I really enjoyed it. I loved Pete Davidson. I love it's kind of like the movie that everybody's been asking for, of like, where is the content of that in between stage, like right in your 20s when life is just really weird and hard. I don't know why more people haven't talked about that movie, because it's really good, I think, and Pete Davidson is hilarious, but also like gives a really good performance about something that is like real. And I think a lot of people struggle with. So
I still have been wanting to see that. I should go up to Family Video and rent it because I'm pretty sure they still have a couple of copies of it. My next one was one that we did, I don't know, a few months ago, but it's Antebellum.
Oh yeah.
I think that viewing experience that Katie and I had together, we watched this one together, it was really enjoyable. And we really like those movies where we're trying to pick out puzzle pieces and figure out the story as it goes along and pick up on the little like hints here and there. That it was just a fun viewing experience. I love Janelle Monáe, so
yeah.
I really liked watching her perform. And yeah, it's not, as we talked about in that episode, when we kind of compared to films like Get Out and Us, it's not my favorite between those, but it was really enjoyable and I still really liked it.
Yeah, me too. I forgot about that one. I didn't even put it on my list. My last one is The Prom. Came out on Netflix. Kind of hit me out of nowhere because, well, it's not necessarily a remake, but it's like a Broadway show being made into a film. And those aren't always my cup of tea. Didn't really like Into the Woods. I'm not the biggest fan of James Corden. I don't know what it is about that man. We just don't vibe. However, if I ever go on his show, this episode will be erased. Anyway.
We're gonna have to erase a lot of episodes for if moments.
Yeah. It hit me out of nowhere. I kind of like didn't even know it was coming out, and then it was out, and my family was like, should we just watch this? And we gave it a try, and it was really good. The music was great. It's a very like visually pop out, colorful film, very like bright, again, just dark times. It's a good movie for that. It's a good message of like inclusion and just be yourself and everything.
That's one that I saw and I'm like, I don't need to waste my time. But I'm not like a musical person, which we know this. So.
Yeah.
My last one is another new one, Soul, Pixar's new movie. This was such a pleasant surprise for me. This was a trailer that's been teased for a while. Like the trailer's been out for I feel like a really long time. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I have no clue what that movie is about. And I think a lot of people were like, I have no clue what that movie's about.
Yeah.
And it was so deep. The more I think about it, the more I sit on it, the more I'm like, oh shit. I loved watching it in the moment, but then I don't know. It's like visually pleasing like Pixar movies typically are. Like it's colorful, it's vibrant, it's an animated movie, so obviously you kind of like expect that. The message of it, the characters, I don't know. I really, really loved it. And my parents like both didn't really vibe, and I think because it was more of like a think movie. That sounds bad. I don't know. I think they just wanted to like sit back and be entertained, where like I want like to be emotionally touched or like emotionally destroyed. And I feel like Soul kind of did that for me.
My mom was kind of saying the same thing, that like at first she thought it was just going to be like really cute and just like a sit back and watch movie, but then there were a lot of like hidden things or like meaningful stuff going on. And I think there are people who are in the mood for that right now and people who aren't. but I've definitely seen and heard a lot of people receiving it well, and like it is just like a hard time right now because goals are somewhat less achievable in this pandemic, and it's hard having your life put on hold like this, especially when there's other people who just aren't doing that. It feels like you're falling behind in a way, but you're not, girl. You're right where you're supposed to be. I don't know if I'm emotionally stable enough to watch that.
I don't know. I feel like it almost made me feel like a little better in a way because it was just more about like this guy like finally gets what he wants and then he's like, this is it. This like that is something that I'm kind of scared of. So then for him to be like that happened and then just be like, I gotta embrace the small things. I don't know. It almost made me feel better rather than making me feel worse.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple episodes ago. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I did have one question for you actually before we kind of move on to those.
Okay.
I feel like people in general streamed more than ever this year because there was like not a lot to do. Everyone was at home. I know my parents definitely streamed more than they ever have. They're like whipping through shows.
Yeah.
And then they're like, do you want to watch this with us? And I'm like, no, because you guys will sit there and watch it for 5 hours, which normally I love, but right now I'm just like not vibing for.
Yeah.
But do you feel that way? Like, have you streamed more than ever this year, or has it been different for you?
I don't know. I think I've watched a lot of stuff with my mom this year. At least it feels like it. We also tried getting into a lot of things. I felt very isolated this year, streaming wise, because of what you're saying. People were streaming a lot more. A lot of the things that people were really into, I just didn't like Tiger King. I couldn't watch that at all. Ratched, I talked about The Haunting of Bly Manor or whatever. My mom and I watched that entire thing just to get through it because we had started so many shows and had to stop because we were hating everything. Yeah, that we just didn't like that much. I haven't really liked everything that everybody seems to be liking. So I think I've definitely probably streamed more. This whole year is just a blur. So I guess I don't know. I've felt so exhausted at the end of every day. So the thing that I like to do is to just sit and watch stuff. Oh, I think I've been gravitating towards mindless content a lot more than streaming. I think I've TikToked the most out of anything this year. Or just like going back to shows that are comforting, like Family Guy or Bob's Burgers. I was telling my mom the other night, I have a very like small taste for things right now. Like I can't handle anything super dark or heavy. Like I really just need uplifting. I don't know though. A Teacher is kind of dark, but I'm into it, man.
I'm glad you're liking it.
I started Broad City the other day. I think I'm gonna stick with that.
I love Broad City. I'm so excited that you're watching that.
Yeah, it's good.
I love Alana.
Yeah. Have you streamed a lot more?
No. Actually, I think I have streamed significantly less this year than any other year. Really have only watched content pretty much for the podcast. I think besides like Outlander and Outer Banks, like I think everything else that I watched and like A Teacher, I don't know. I feel like for the most part, I was just watching things for the podcast. I didn't really get into any shows that I was like, I need to keep watching this. And I went back, like you said, to just some of my comfort shows. Like I've been rewatching Pretty Little Liars because I just want like that comfort of that show. But also I just don't watch TV at night anymore. Like I just read, and even during the day I'm reading when I'm not working, like, and on the weekends and stuff I'm just reading. My problem has been that watching TV, it doesn't take up enough of my mind and like take my mind off things because I can almost tune it out, which then like isn't good. Where if I'm reading, my mind is like preoccupied in that moment, and that's kind of what I've needed this year to like keep sane of everything that's going on. I have watched by far less this year than I have ever watched in previous years, but I think too because I'm not like out and like interacting, and I'm not like going to work. I mean, yes, I still work during the week, but I'm not like interacting with people at work. That during normal life, then when I get home, like I want to kind of shut my brain off and just watch TV, and have that, where I almost need like the extra stimulation of reading in order to like keep my mind in a somewhat decent place. If I don't think that makes sense. I
No,
don't
it
know.
does. When Naya Rivera passed away, I definitely like went back and watched Glee too.
Mm. I even watched Glee at the start of this
Yeah.
year because of the pod.
A couple episodes ago, when we were doing our anniversary episode, we asked you guys to ask us questions on our Instagram, and then my phone started to die, so we couldn't answer all of them. So we're gonna answer some that we did not answer now. What has it been like recording during COVID? Which we kind of covered, I guess, in the episode. It's been fine. We've adapted just like lots of people have during this time.
I think it's almost like we don't really know any different
right.
because we had kind of just started like a couple months before, that we didn't really have a set routine down before COVID. So
Yeah, and it's honestly been nice to just have something that is like constant through all of this, that isn't changing. And like I think we talked about, we just look forward to it. It's just something to look forward to and kind of like take our minds off of everything that's going on. You know, you just unplug from your phone or the news or whatever.
And it's been nice too for Katie and I, or like for me with Katie, of knowing every single week I get to just talk with you for 3 hours pretty much, when I am just at home with my parents and working. Like I don't see anyone outside of my immediate family. So it's just nice knowing that every single week I get to talk to you for a few hours. And I mean, we're constantly talking during the week too, leading up to the episodes.
Right at the start of quarantine, when everybody was doing those like Zoom calls and Zoom like cocktail hours and everything, we were doing that with our group of friends, and like we obviously kind of fell off that. I think a lot of people have, and like I was doing that with a couple other groups of friends that I have, and we've fallen off. Like we don't really do that much anymore. And like there are friends that I haven't seen like almost at this point for a year now, and it's just kind of sad. And you and I have been being so conscious about this whole thing that like I don't know if we would have seen each other very much this year, if at all. So like to have this, it feels like we are interacting and like still seeing each other. It's been good, honestly. It's been nice to record during COVID.
And with technology how it is, like it doesn't really create any problems.
Yeah. And then I guess like after we're done recording, we just upload everything to a Google Drive that we share together, and that's how we do that. And I record our Zooms and I edit it all, and yeah, that's how we do it, if you're curious. Someone asked, what would your perfect movie or series be about, which we kind of talked about in the last episode. I'm really wanting something like Taylor Swift related.
And I still just want to see Throne of Glass as an 8-season HBO show.
Yeah. And then last one that we'll do, what inspired y'all to start a podcast? Love you. Lilas.
Yeah. I guess for me, I was never a big podcast listener until I started working my job that I work during the week, like sitting at a desk for 9 hours a day. Like I just listen to podcasts while I work because my brain can't handle not having some sort of noise going on. So I started listening to a lot of podcasts, and I really liked that world. And honestly, I think like the show that kind of inspired it though for us was Euphoria, because Katie and I were both like, this show is just something, and we both loved it, and we wanted to be able to talk about it on like a more in-depth level than just us going back and forth and just like saying what we liked and stuff. And Katie had texted me one day, and she was like, I kind of want to start a podcast, and I was like, I want to start a podcast, and we did it.
Back when I was in college, I did a lot of driving because I went to school in Iowa and my family lives in Madison and my boyfriend lived in De Pere or the Green Bay area. So I was doing a lot of driving, like visiting people and stuff. I would listen to a lot of podcasts, and I got to thinking one time, like, every podcast that talks about like film or television is very critical or educated I just felt like there wasn't like a lighthearted podcast about film and television. It was also very like male dominated too.
Mm-hmm.
When I was listening to those podcasts, I enjoyed them, but I wasn't feeling like my like film and television intake was being represented, I guess. Like there seemed to be a gap that I thought Michaela and I could fill, and it all just kind of fell into place, like, because her and I talk about TV and movies all the time, and I was just like, we should just do this, like, recording setting and have it be, like, permanently on the internet forever. There was content that I found myself, like, looking for and couldn't find, and then I was just like, well, I'll just make it myself.
I agree with that, too. I didn't listen to a ton of movie or TV show. I more, like, would search specific things, like looking for them, but agreed, every single thing that I found was so critical and really serious, and sometimes I just didn't want that. Like, yes, there are certain movies that obviously Katie and I are much more serious talking about, but not every single thing, you know. And I mean, we're not film critics,
right?
We're enthusiasts.
Yeah.
I like that we're able to have a more lighthearted approach with that. And also, too, I had forgotten, I was kind of thinking, like, my senior year of college of starting a, like, movie blog online and, like, reviewing and stuff, but that never came to fruition. But I remember I had, like, notes started of it and things that I was going to post about it, because that was something that, like, I always thought in my head and, like, that Katie and I would talk about. But the podcast is definitely, like, the best medium for it, I think.
All right.
Did we do it?
Did we do it? I don't know. I think we did it. We did something.
I think we did it.
All right, guys. Well, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Next week, we have an exciting episode. We are doing a Drunk Disney episode, which y'all love. We're doing Cheetah Girls 2. Strut Like You Mean It, baby. Get ready.
The best Cheetah Girls.
The best Cheetah Girls. I'm so excited. And we're having a fun little guest on the pod. The second guest we've ever had. We are having Miss Delaney Jones, a high school throwback. Delaney was our good friend in high school. And we are having her on the pod because Cheetah Girls is a movie about friendship, and
so we figured that works. And she's also a big fan of the pod. She's constantly helping promote the pod. Yeah. So we're really excited to have her on.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. I'm really, really looking forward to it.
If you're watching this episode on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to our Popcorn Chats channel. If you're listening on Spotify, be sure to follow us by clicking the follow button on our show page. That way you will see our latest episodes on your homepage on Spotify. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, be sure to subscribe there and leave us a rating and review. Honestly, wherever you're listening, you should do all three of those things because it really helps us out. And you can support us financially too if you do so desire. There's a link to do that in the description of this episode, because my microphone is putting out and we could seriously use some dollars. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, our individual TikToks, our collective TikTok, Popcorn Chats TikTok. If you feel bad for me at all based off of my check-in of this episode, the main thing you can do is everything I just said.
We'll just leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay!
All right.
Lilas! Fuck this.